Unraveling sweaters. The president faces some tough metaphors over Obamacare. This is Special Report. Good evening, I'm Chris Wallace in for Brett Baer. A day after President Obama presented his fix for those millions of canceled health insurance policies, the House passed a fix of its own with bipartisan support. It's not clear what the eventual solution will be, but like a growing number of people, insurance companies aren't happy. We have Fox team coverage. James Rosen investigates whether the president's fix is even constitutional. Jim Angle with the impact on insurance companies. Wendell Goler on the White House strategy. But we begin with Chief Congressional Correspondent Mike Emanuel on Capitol Hill, where there was lots of action today. Good evening, Mike.
Well, Chris, good evening. Despite a veto threat, Republicans and a few dozen Democrats passed a bill to honor a promise they say President Obama did not keep.
The bill is passed.
By a 261 to 157 vote, including 39 Democrats supporting it, the House passed Energy and Commerce Chairman Fred Upton's Keep Your Health Plan Act.
Our straightforward one-page bill says if you like your current coverage, you should be able to keep it. The president should heed his own advice and work with us, the Congress, as the founders intended, not around the legislative process.
In July, only 22 Democrats voted to delay the individual mandate, and 35 supported delaying the employer mandate. This time, Democratic leadership, hoping to stop members from voting for the Upton measure, made several attempts at trying to defeat the bill. They expressed concern this was another attempt by the GOP to kill Obamacare.
This is a shell bill. In the end, just let me say, my friends, you'd have some credibility. You introduced 102 bills. You never put one of them on the floor for a vote. So don't pretend that you care about the American people's health care here. You're just trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act. Democrats are not going to let you do that.
It's been a tense week for many Democrats on Capitol Hill who voted to pass Obamacare, and many times since then to protect the law. They appealed to White House officials to do something to appease angry constituents who are upset about being canceled by their insurance companies. The president offered a controversial administrative fix Thursday, and House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi said the focus should be on strengthening and not pulling apart the law.
There's a discussion going on, but there's a values decision that has been made in favor of the American people, that if we have to thread a needle to get a result, let's do that. But let's not unravel the whole sweater.
Yet GOP leaders argue this is just the beginning of trouble with the president's health care plan for the American people.
We will continue to see the shockwaves of Obamacare. Today, it is the fact that Americans cannot keep their coverage. Tomorrow, it'll be the staggering and unexpected cost.
In the Senate, pressure is mounting on Majority Leader Harry Reid. Several of his members said they were not satisfied with the president's fix, so Reid has not tipped his hand but may need to call a vote on some plan to give his fellow Democrats cover. Chris?
Mike Emanuel on Capitol Hill. Mike, thanks for that. Blame for canceled policies falls squarely on President Obama, who's been having arguably the roughest patch of his time in office. White House correspondent Wendell Goler looks at yet another tough week.
A day after asking the insurance industry to rescue his promise, if you like your policy, you can keep it, President Obama met with CEOs at the White House.
What we're going to be doing is brainstorming on how do we make sure that everybody understands what their options are. Because of choice and competition, a whole lot of Americans who've always seen health insurance out of risk or out of reach are going to be in a position to purchase it.
Since he can't force the insurance companies to reissue the policies, aides said Mr. Obama would encourage them to offer renewals.
The purpose here is to provide a choice. It's not to compel people to renew or to compel people to choose any particular plan within the marketplace.
Polls suggest the failed promise and the problems of the healthcare.gov website have shaken public trust in government generally and Mr. Obama in particular. In Detroit, where she visited a community center and health clinic, HHS Secretary Kathleen Sebelius seemed to blame contractors for the launch of a website that was not ready for prime time.
I think the Contractors gave us the green light and said as recently as the end of September, when not only they were talking to us but talking to Congress, we are ready to go.
But internal memos show project manager Henry Chow was having serious reservations back in July, writing, quote, "I just need to feel more confident they're not going to crash the plane at takeoff." The plane did crash, and Thursday, Mr. Obama seemed to take responsibility for it.
There have been times where I thought we were kind of, slapped around a little bit unjustly. This one's deserved, right? It's on us.
Several state insurance commissioners have rejected the president's renewal proposal, and an insurance industry group is warning it could raise premiums, but some experts feel some insurance companies will grant the president's wish.
They're in the business to make money on policies, and if the policies that they were selling that they've had to discontinue, if those policies were profitable, I'm betting that they will reissue them.
Even though he opposed the House bill, aides say the president is not opposed to a legislative fix. But the two parties are so far apart on what's a fix and what's intended to undo Obamacare that an agreement is a long shot. Chris?
Wendell Goler at the White House. Wendell, thanks. It's the insurance companies who will need to scramble to uncancel policies that were scrapped for failing to meet Obamacare standards. Chief National Correspondent Jim Angle examines whether that's possible.
In hopes of avoiding a Democratic revolt, President Obama made an 11th-hour effort to work his way out of a political corner by saying the insurance community should uncancel millions of canceled policies.
So state insurance commissioners still have the power to decide what can and can't be sold in their states, but the bottom line is insurers can extend current plans that would otherwise be canceled into 2014.
Essentially delaying yet another part of the law.
You know, it's interesting, this administration has spent 3 years on launching healthcare.gov, and 6 weeks into it, it's still a mess. And they're now telling the insurance industry they have 31 days to turn this cancellation mess around.
Well, the president said he fumbled the football, which he did, but he's also moved the goalposts and changed the rules of the game. It is not easy to put the genie back in the bottle.
The president did not consult with the state insurance commissioners before making his proposal, and they're extremely doubtful they can resurrect canceled policies at least before January 1st.
I don't think so. It would be a huge undertaking. Undoing that, putting the toothpaste back in the tube, if you will, would be a very, very difficult thing to do.
Insurance companies are governed by state insurance commissioners, not the federal government, so the president's proposing something he cannot control, and many commissioners are more than a little skeptical.
The federal government very often exhibits misguided, even if well-intended, programs that do not play out well on the state level.
The commissioner in Washington state went even further, flatly rejecting the idea, saying, quote, "I do not believe his proposal is a good deal for the state of Washington. We are staying the course. We will not be allowing insurance companies to extend their policies." And if the insurers do write new policies and get them approved, it still has yet another step to go through.
They have to send every policyholder a letter, and they have to specifically explain the differences between their current policy and the new Obamacare policies.
But forcing people to sign up for Obamacare might be even worse.
Obamacare cannot handle this volume of people. There's no way that many people are going to get signed up by January 1. So the pressure will build on the insurance industry and on the state regulators to allow this to happen.
But that could take weeks, if not months. So the president has taken a problem of his own creation that he couldn't solve too long to call for help. Chris?
Jim, thank you. One of the questions folks are asking is what gives President Obama, or any president, the authority to decide on his own which parts of a law Congress has passed that he will enforce. Here's Chief Washington Correspondent James Rosen on whether the fix President Obama has proposed is legal.
The Secretary's authority can be used in narrow circumstances to ease implementation short of legislative changes, and this is one of those instances.
Beyond that, neither the White House nor President Obama, in his hour-long appearance on Thursday, has cited any specific statute as the legal basis for his latest proposed fixes to Obamacare. That dreary business was instead relegated to an 800-word fact sheet the White House issued, which only cited, as Jay Carney did, the inherent authority of HHS Secretary Kathleen Sebelius, and added that HHS will consider the impact of this transitional policy in assessing whether to extend it beyond 2014. Prominent figures in both parties swiftly challenged the constitutionality of it all.
I'm highly skeptical that they can do this administratively. I just don't see within the law their ability to do that.
I wonder if he has the legal authority to do this, since this was a congressional bill that set this up.
This past summer, when the president delayed the employer mandate provision, his aides cited the same authority they do now, again without invoking any particular statute, by asserting some vague executive branch power to provide, quote, transitional relief to selected citizens during the early stages of a law's implementation. The fact is, the original Obamacare law, the Affordable Care Act, signed into law in March 2010, provided for people to be able to keep the plans they had as of that date. It was a rule issued quietly by Secretary Sebelius 30 days later that changed the ground rules for which plans could be grandfathered in. That little-noticed rule, finalized in November 2010, was what the president, in his announcement on Thursday, went back on, and technically with every right to do so, since it was an executive branch rule. The argument that Oklahoma's Attorney General, a Republican, made on Power Play on Friday.
It was his secretary that created the problems that we have today. She, through rule, Secretary Sebelius, through her rule, did not comply with the statute.
Elsewhere, HHS has cited the 1985 Supreme Court decision, Heckler v. Cheney, as the legal basis for the president's actions yesterday. But that case was about the powers and the discretion of the Food and Drug Administration to block the use of certain drugs in lethal injections where state inmates were being put to death. It's